Morning, good morning. Welcome to 4x8 Paper Stuff. This is Beth. We are in Hulong Bay. Can you feel the water? Can you feel the heat? Can you smell the smog? I can. Um, okay, so we are tidying up a couple of these loose ends I had yesterday. I found the glassine bags. Look at me finding stuff. They were in the wrong place, but I found them. Anyhow, so I am trying to um have interest, peak interest, have an interactive journal. So I'm trying to come up with as many, or as I call it, scrap lifting, as many, what do you call it? Ideas as possible from other people, from other companies. I'm not a company, but I'm like, oh, Elle Studio did this. Maybe I can do this. Ali Edwards did this. Maybe I can replicate that somehow, some way. Design person on this team did this. Maybe I can replicate that somehow. If I'm doing it, it's clearly by accident because I'm not that organized. But I am trying to use paper that I made, paper that I found in cleaning up that foil pan that I found from years ago. And I think this little piece of paper was part of it, which it looks fine with what's on the inside. Just trying to use what I have, use what I made already, and have fun with it. I found another piece of ephemera from EVA Airlines. We kept calling it EVA. Nobody knew what we were talking about. It's EVA. Anyhow. So I found my red tags that I was looking for, and I am going to write exactly what I said yesterday. I was having a pity party because it was so smoggy, it was so crowded, blah, 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 blah. But then the ships started moving and the seas parted and the smog parted. So I'm kind of just putting that in there. And note to self, don't have your pity party right away. Yeah, I know. I tell myself that a lot. It doesn't always work and I forget. So anyhow, I now know there are 1969 amount of islands. So I'm trying to figure out a piece of paper to cut here to cover up that little spot that I wrote 1960 plus because I couldn't remember how many. And now that I know, I want to include that actual number. Yes, this looks like the Ukraine flag. Yes, I know. I just put 1969 islands and I'm going to put it right there. And it works. It works. It's part of the color scheme and it works. And I'm stabilizing that with another piece of paper that I found in that tin right there, which is exactly what this tin is for. With some more cardstock scraps and just kind of stabilizing it, and it'll turn smoother, perhaps, hopefully. Um, in hindsight, I should have probably put it over the hole, but that's okay. It's working. It's cardstock, so it's thicker paper. It's not just copy paper. Um, and if anything gets put on it, fine. If nothing does, fine. I'm okay with all of that. And just adding elements of different sizes, different lengths, different widths, different shapes to try to just add more interest. So now I have all these little post-its and now I got to figure out how I'm going to attack this place. So I went through my frames in my stamp collection and none of them are big enough for what I want to do. I want to kind of replicate that red sticker with the journaling on it that I just did about the smog and replicate it in green and add it to the bottom of this and put some just bullet points of Hulong Bay. I did it. In kind of a tag fashion, which I'm okay with. But in hindsight, I should have stuck to the actual design of the red sticker. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. But just a little bit of the facts. How many islands? A quote that was, now I can't remember. Something about wonder in the sky, rocks of wonder in the sky, or something like that was a quote from the 1500s of a explorer slash citizen or of Vietnam that made that statement. And I'm purposely making messy lines to kind of just create a frame within a tag. And this is where I start adding a couple things here. Using my own writing is problematic at times. I don't mind my writing, but it looks so much nicer when it's typed. But I need to get this project done. It's already on day 21. I cannot believe it. Um, but having fun. Maybe some of those days were vacation days. I don't know. Um, I hit the camera, so sorry. So I'm adding a little bit of a paper tie to the back of the tag so that it looks like it has a little bit of a tag and not just a hole in it. Um, and yes, they're going to bend with the crease in the little tip in, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm okay with that. Um, over time, they'll be fine. Um, so yes, I do like how this turned out. And this is just a couple of the pictures, kind of like an intro page to Hulong Bay, as far as pictures go. So now I have this piece of paper here and the little date stamp at the bottom, which I thought was glued in. So I did some architecture as far as cutting paper and trying to make it work. 90s plus humidity is what we had in Hulong Bay. But you weren't moving on a boat, but the water made it a little cooler. So I have a couple extra pictures. I have sunset pictures. I have just actual scenery pictures, bay pictures, daylight pictures. That's what I'm going for. But now I need to cut around that hole. Do you see the problem? Yeah, the hole's going to be on the opposite side when you flip it over, Dingleberry. Which I tried to do that to save me from cutting on a line that might still show. I tried to do it on the back. So here I'm improvising big time. And it works out. It works out. I don't want it to be totally covered necessarily. It would have probably looked less hodgepodge, but that's okay. So now I'm coming up with a title and some of these words from Ali Edwards kits. I have a ton of these. And I'm just going to make a title. Yep, I'm making a title. And I was going to put it directly on there, but I'm like, wait a minute, let's layer it. Yes, I know I have little clusters that I've already made. I'm sure there's a blue one in there, and I probably should have used it, but never fear, there will be an opportunity to use it. So I kind of covered up my short margin at the top with a title, and it looks fine. It looks fine. It doesn't look like I screwed up at all. That paper was made over Christmas at the beach, me trying to use up paint. And I think it was a snowflake originally, but right now it looks like trails from boats going out on Hulong Bay, right? Right. So now I'm going to make, just using blue construction paper, kids construction paper, and trying to figure out how I can add all these pictures. I have a lot of Hulong Bay pictures, and I think I showed them mostly to you yesterday. I want to, at the end of the video, so if you don't watch that, go back. I would put a card at the top, but I don't know how to do that. So I'm just going to tell you, go back to the end of yesterday's video. Yes, I added waves to my paper. Right or wrong, there's waves. So I have 16 pictures minus like 2 or 3 from the temple, which I also have to go back and include because I forgot to include the temple stuff when we were up in Sapa, which is the previous pages. My thought process was to make a bunch of accordion books since I seem to be having an accordion theme going here. But this is photographic paper. It doesn't bend as easily. I could have put them on the back of other paper. In hindsight, I might still do that. What I end up doing is not permanent and can be easily moved around. So don't be surprised if I change this all tomorrow. I do have a horizontal picture in there with all the vertical pictures, so that won't work. Yeah. Hulong Bay, sunset, me in the kayak, the little ladies that not only did we have children and women trying to sell us things on the street, but you had people coming up to the boats, those little tiny fishing boats, selling pearls. So we were told not to buy from them. They're not supposed to do that, but I don't think you could do it anyhow at a UNESCO site, which is what this is. So here I started to bend them, and I didn't like how that was looking, and I wasn't sure how I was going to construct it because I wanted to have pictures on the front and the back. Who knew that when you start scrapbooking, you need to go to architecture school? But anyhow, so I ended up making a pocket, you'll see. That took 2 tries also. But I don't know if I'm going to keep this. Long story short, very long story short. I just don't know yet. I don't know. But what I end up doing with this pocket will work. So if I don't change it around, it'll be fine. I'm sitting here contemplating, thinking there is smoke pouring out of my ear holes with all the thinking that's going on here. And yes, I make one more mistake, spoiler alert, before I finish with the page that I may not keep actually. So some days you just struggle through. And this is me doing a voiceover. So I know I had plenty of time to think and not think under pressure on camera. I still didn't do it right. But that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. You learn from your mistakes. Um, do you see what I've done wrong? Are you shouting at the screen? They're too wide. The tape is very thick and they're too wide. So now what do? We flip it over and we try again. Making a much wider pocket. And the front can be used for other things. In fact, I think I did put other things in it. And again, this is still good interactive, so I put the tape way to the edges of the paper, making sure I did it right. Still cut the tape too long, so now I got to come back and trim it off a little bit more. But again, some days are just like this. You stomp your feet on your floor at your desk a couple times, and voila, things start working finally. So here's me trimming off the edge of the vellum to make my pocket, and it's fine. In hindsight, that is so fine. I put two of these pictures on the front of that pocket, trimmed the little cutout so that they would fit correctly. And I've got some receipts from the Pearl Farm, so that we did stop at on the way, so I can put those in there. There's things I can put in there. So I might just keep it. I do like the blue wavy paper, just to add some more interest on the inside. So we shall see. We shall see. It's already getting wide, but I don't care. That's okay. And I forgot, I still haven't done the temple that comes before Halong Bay. So I put some post-it notes here to myself. And that starts off Halong Bay. And it comes here. So there's a couple pictures I have to include here still from the temple. So come back tomorrow for some temple work. I apparently need a lot of temple work. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow at the temple. Bye.